Burt Bacharach, one of pop's greatest songwriters, dies aged 94. One of pop music's greatest composer, Burt Bacharach, has died aged 94. Bacharach's daughter Nikki had died of suicide in 2007 at the age of 40 after a lifelong struggle with Asperger's syndrome. The musician was married 4 times to Paula Stewart in 1953, actress Angie Dickinson in 1958, his frequent musical collaborator Carol Sager in 1982, and finally Jane Henson in 1993. He is survived by Hansen and their children Oliver and Raleigh, as well as son Christopher from his marriage to Bayer Sager. Bacharach died on Wednesday at home in Los Angeles of natural causes, his publicist Tina Brosam said. Known for his airborne melodies and sumptuous orchestral arrangements, Bacharach was one of the most important songwriters of the 20th century. Over his career, he scored more than 50 chart hits in the US and UK with artists including Warwick, Frank Sinatra, The Beatles, Barbra Streisand, Tom Jones, Aretha Franklin, and Elvis Costello, all recording his songs. Bacharach won 3 Oscars, 2 Golden Globes, and 6 competitive Grammy Awards, and was hailed as the music's greatest living composer when he accepted the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Honor in 2008. But what is Burt Bacharach's will, which he ordered to implement regarding his enormous wealth? Let's go to details. Burt Bacharach wrote more than 500 songs that were performed by more than 1,200 artists and counting. At the time of his death, Burt Bacharach's net worth was estimated to be between $150 million and $160 million. Burt Bacharach's net worth was staggering, and when you look at his songwriter's credits and illustrious resume, it is not surprising at all. But the amazing and strange thing is what came in his will, which he ordered his family to implement. The legendary artist wrote in his will that approximately 25% be donated to homeless and orphanage centers, as well as a large part of this value will go to the development of treatment centers for children from difficult diseases. Born in Missouri, Bacharach grew up in New York City, where he first studied cello, drums, and piano as a child. Enraptured by jazz and bebop, he would often sneak out to watch sets by his hero, Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, and began playing in jazz bands of his own in the 1940s. After graduating from school, he studied music theory and composition. Even when his education was interrupted by a spill in the military, he toured army bases as a uniformed concert pianist. After returning home, he toured with Marlene Dietrich, becoming her personal conductor, but said his early success was all down to luck. I wasn't chasing it. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was caught in the drift of things. He later reflected, I'm not a person who will walk over people, kill people, step in people to get to the next place where they want to be. Things just happened for me. I was very fortunate. In the 1950s, he was hired to work in New York's Sproul Building, an epicenter of the music industry, and started writing country rock smashes like The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance and Only Love Can Break a Heart for Jenny Pitney. He scored his first UK number 1 in 1955 with Michelle Holiday's Sweet But Charming, The Story of My Life, a song that was originally recorded by Marty Robbins in the US. That song also happened to be his first collaboration with Hal David, with whom he forged one of the most successful songwriting partnerships of the 60s. Their sophisticated, debonair pop was often at odds with the more raucous sounds of rock and roll, but the hits kept coming, especially when they teamed up with Dionne Warwick. Over a period of 10 years, that trio enjoyed 39 consecutive US hits, including such memorable songs as Walking By, Don't Make Me Over, I Will Never Fall in Love Again, and Promises, Promises. Warwick later used Bacharach after he and David stopped working together, leaving her out new material to record. It was a very costly and unfortunate dispute, Bacharach told The Guardian in 19, adding, I stupidly handed it wrong. He and Warwick reconciled for the 1985 charity single That's What Friends Are For, which raised $1.5 million for the American Foundation for AIDS Research and also featured vocals from Elton John, Stevie Wonder, and Gladys Knight. Outside of the partnership, Bacharach and David won a Grammy and an Oscar in 1969 for Raindrops Keep Falling in My Head, performed by P.G. Thomas and featuring the film Butch Cassidy and the Sudsness Kid. Bacharach's music for the film also won the Oscar for the Best Original Score. He wrote enduring hits like I Say a Little Prayer, Walking By, and What the World Needs Now Is Love. Along with lyricist Huldah David, he also wrote numerous movie themes including What is a New Pussycat, Alfie and the Look of Love, a major hit for Dusty Springfield. Another collaborator, Dionne Warwick, said the songwriter's death was like losing a family member. In her tribute, Warwick said, These words I've been asked to write are being written with sadness over the loss of my dear friend and my musical partner. On the lighter side, we laughed a lot and had our run-ins, but always found a way to let each other know our family, like roots were the most important part of our relationship. Other music stars shared their thoughts about Bacharach. The Beach Boys' Brian Wilson said he was a hero of mine and very influential in my work, adding, he was a giant in the music business, his songs will live forever, he added. Former Oasis star Noel Gallagher posted, Rest in peace, Maestro, it was a pleasure to have known you. Oscar-winning songwriters Diane Warren said the field had lost its Beethoven, while film and TV composer David Arnold agreed he was one of the greatest songwriters of all time. Bacharach's music touched multiple genres, from cool jazz and rhythm and blues to bossa nova and traditional pop, but they shared one thing in common, you could recognize them within a couple of notes. It was a style inspired by his tutor French jazz musician Darius Milhaud. His observation was never be ashamed of something that's melodic. One could whistle, Bacharach recalled, that was a valuable lesson I learned from him. Never forget that one. Never be afraid of something that you can whistle.